Hey guys, as you can tell, this is not the mouthwashing video that I promised you guys. I decided to do the Reddit series again as an appetizer before I release that video. It's one of the biggest videos this channel's had yet, and I really think it deserves to have a little bit more time in the oven this week before I release it. But trust me, it's worth the wait. My birthday is February 17th, by the way. It would be really awesome if you can help me hit 100,000 subscribers before February 17th because that is my birthday. I turned 21 that day. It would be awesome to have 100K as a birthday gift and open up that silver play button. So that's the goal for the channel, 100K by February 17th. Anyways, grab your headphones, get in your blanket, snuggle up. Halloween is soon. This is part of my Halloween spookathon. I picked out these stories just for you. Enjoy. You can sleep to this video, you can watch it, you can study to it, have a good time, and relax. Polaroid Man by AP Cleriot. AP Cleriot is the author of the horror novel Collegiate and the horror collection The Wrong Side of Midnight. Both books are perfect for the spooky season and can be found anywhere wherever you buy books or by following the link below. You can also find more stories by AP Cleriot on Reddit by following the link below. All stories, including the one you're about to hear, occur in Bridal Veil Lake, a tourist town in southern Ontario. All are based on real horrors. Bridal Veil Lake. Are you a resident yet? I didn't understand the object Freddy shook in my face or why he was so excited. Halloween night in '87 wasn't as illuminated as today. "It's a picture," he yelled and spat in my face. "Look, look." I put my pillowcase down and held his wrist gently to see the fuss. A Polaroid picture with Freddy in his sad pirate costume. When I looked more closely, however, I saw the serene boy beneath. Polaroid Freddy looked burnt to a crisp, his skin gone, the eyes melted away. Freddy stopped the picture from my fingers. "Isn't it cool?" He studied it again. "Like a magic trick. Best Halloween ever. Right? It's cool. Right?" He continued to bully me for validation, as 10-year-old boys do, until I relented. "It's cool, Freddy. Where did you get it?" "You know, Mr. Malcolm's house. Super green long guy? Tells dirty jokes to us at the bus stop? The weirdo pervert? That guy?" Freddy nodded enthusiastically, missing my intended sarcasm. Everyone usually avoided Mr. Malcolm's house on Halloween and every other day. The man constantly invited kids inside for candy and conversation. I don't know if anyone accepted that offer. I hope not. "Yeah," Freddy confirmed. "But there's this guy on the porch, probably his nephew or something. He's got on a mega spooky demon mask. He's got a camera and he takes your picture and it prints out all freaky like mine." "Whoa, Freddy," I said. He was getting overexcited. Freddy had something wrong with him. A weak heart maybe, though I can't recall exactly what we were told other than he could die should he get too worked up. Our teachers told us to look out for Freddy. So I did. "It's great. Calm down." I started breathing with him and held his hand. He smiled. "Thanks, man. Want to see?" I smiled back. "Yep." The photo had creeped me out but also fascinated me. I didn't want to be the only kid who missed out on something cool. Judging by the line extending down the walkway, bending at a right angle onto the sidewalk, it seemed I might. There had to be 50 kids waiting for their photo. Polaroid pictures aren't fast. They don't present an image until at least 10 minutes have gone by. The guy on the porch wore a thin mask with horns that really seemed to grow from his forehead. A mouthpiece displayed jagged teeth. He carefully placed the undeveloped photo on a shoe rack at his side. You don't shake Polaroid pictures. You wait. And so, we waited. He could have simply given the white rectangles to the eager kids before the image showed, but he didn't. Instead, after a trick-or-treater's photo, he sat cross-legged on Mr. Malcolm's concrete slab of a porch and stared at the child. Some kids tried to talk with him. He didn't answer. Others waited in silence, bearing the stranger's gaze with admirable defiance. One little boy began to cry. His parents ushered him away before he could collect his photo. I remember thinking how fortunate I was that my parents let me trick-or-treat on my own. I'd get my photo. I would endure the awkwardness of the adult gaze. Time ticked on. It was late. Some kids gave up and left the line. To my delight, Freddie yawned and said he had to go. I thanked him for telling me about the Polaroid Man. I probably wouldn't have come down Ferry Street otherwise. Mr. Malcolm creeped me out too much. Luckily, a few other school friends were revealed by the departures. May DeFranco and Vicky Rand. They'd already gotten their photos, but hung around because May's little sister wanted one too. Can I see? I asked, pointing at the photos. They were grotesque and I could hardly bear it. May's body appeared popped open, entrails spilling from her guts and onto splintered remnants of bone and muscle. Only the pink princess dress she wore as her costume identified her as the corpse in the photo. Vicky's was far worse. Her dead body had been tied at the wrists and ankles. Her pale face appeared stunned at the mutilation of her body. The top hat had been pulled apart from the bottom, and there were more tortured dead around her in a dark field. Cool, right? Vicky said. It's like Freddy Krueger or something. You've never seen Freddy Krueger, May said. I hadn't seen A Nightmare on Elm Street either. I never have. At the time, I assumed the contents of the photo were typical horror movie stuff. I wasn't ready for it, but I wouldn't let my discomfort show. After May's sister got her photo, more kids thought better of risking the worried parents' wrath. They left, and after one more boy got his photo, my turn came at 11:42 p.m. My parents were probably pissed off by 8, so I figured, wrongly, I wouldn't be in much more trouble for continuing to stay out way past the time I should have been home. Though, I did have second thoughts, especially when I realized no other kids remained. I would be the last, and I was alone with the devil-masked man.
Don't smile,
he growled. I adjusted my face quickly to obey. He snapped a picture and sat on the stoop. We waited. The leaves on the trees hissed a warning in the wind. Their dead brethren skittered away down Ferry Street. I could hardly breathe as he stared. There were no visible eyes in the sockets of his mask, only oily voids. An unfortunate trick of the dim porch bulb. It had to be. The feeling in my stomach called for a quick escape. I think I need to go, I told him. His hand gripped my wrist, hard. I squirmed. It's okay, I could pick it up tomorrow. He did not let go. His face, that mask, got close to mine. He was perfectly quiet. No inhalation or exhale as he forced me to stay put. Please, I begged. I want to go home. In the half-inch space between our noses, he slid the developing Polaroid. This close, I could barely see anything. Then the devil's mask appeared in the photo. Then I, or what would become of me, materialized. The Polaroid features us together. His hands around my neck, my face empty of life. I yelped and pulled away. He let go and I fell onto the walkway. He stood up and tossed the photo with precision. It landed beside me on the grass. Further details of the horror revealed. A swath of blood matted my hair and soaked me in front of my costume like a gory bib. The man in the devil mask had done more than strangle me according to the image. I backed away. A reverse crab walk of cumbersome doom. He hadn't moved because he could catch me anytime he liked. His first step knocked his camera off the stoop. It clattered, and a piece shot away from the impact. He didn't seem to care. Please, I pleaded with him. I don't remember the specifics of how I got up and ran down the middle of Ferry Street. I only recall the chase was brief because I made a mistake and got cornered in the variety store parking lot. The store, Brothers Variety, had been closed for hours. There'd be no help there. The streets were empty. Most people were asleep. How I knew this or thought about it in such a terrible moment came down to dumb luck. I backed into a pile of leaves bunched up with fake spiderwebs that had blown off someone's house. Stuck, I raised my arms defensively and caught the time on my digital watch, the wrong side of midnight by 12 minutes. His fingers caressed the sides of my neck. I closed my eyes and started trembling uncontrollably. Pain would be great. Great pain. The photo promised. And death. No! I tried to shout, but it came out like a squeak. Halloween is over. It's over. It's done. You can't. I don't know what I was saying or why, but the fingers retreated and he took noiseless steps backwards over the cracked tarmac. When he reached the sidewalk, he spoke.
See you next year then.
As if it had been a prank all along. He walked away casually. It took far too long for me to go the opposite way. Eventually, I managed a slow jog working through the blocks to home, where my mom waited in the front window, worried and angry. Punishment was left up to my father. When he returned from searching for me, I told him about the photo and the guy in the mask. He received the information passively before grabbing his baseball bat and calling his brothers. Together, they went to Mr. Malcolm's and discovered the busted door in the backyard. The old man had died in his chair, completely naked. My dad told me this last detail some years later. Police were called, but nothing came of what our investigation might have followed. My parents had and have no faith in the Bridal Veil Lake PD, hence the reason he called his brothers and picked up his bat that night. Evidence of the devil masked man existed, of course. Many kids had their photos taken. No police or adults asked about it as far as I know. Mine had been left on Mr. Malcolm's lawn, but Freddie, May, and Vicky said they still had theirs at home. Freddie's, however, likely burned up in the fire the following Christmas. His dad made the mistake of using a space heater in the garage. All of them, including Freddie, were dead the day before Christmas Eve. I refused to go trick-or-treating in the next year and everyone after that. My parents understood and didn't pressure me. Within a few years, I aged out of the tradition, but still wouldn't risk going out for a walk on Halloween night. See you next year then. And if not the next, or the next, or the next, he waits. I know because every photo has turned out to be true. Vicky simply disappeared before her 19th birthday, and while her body was never recovered, a man suspected of torturing and killing half a dozen young women in Bridal Veil Lake and Derry across the border was arrested as a likely culprit. May committed suicide off the old casino hotel last July. My son is 5 now. He wants me to take him trick-or-treating in a few weeks. Of course he does. He doesn't know. Neither does my wife. That man is waiting for me. My parents disappear every October 31st. Posted by user Philosophy Subboy. I don't mean they'd leave for a party or a night out. No, they'd vanish, gone without a trace by sunset, leaving me alone in the house. I would search for them, call their names, but they were always gone, like they'd never existed. It wasn't something we ever talked about. The next morning they'd be back, acting as if nothing had happened, like it was just another night. But it wasn't. I knew that. I learned that the hard way. It all started when I was 6 years old. I remember that first Halloween like it was yesterday. I was dressed as a witch, excited to go trick-or-treating. But just as the sun dipped below the horizon, I noticed the house felt different. Quiet, too quiet. I ran through the halls calling for my mom and dad, but no one answered. Panic set in. Thought maybe they were hiding, playing a prank. But after what felt like hours of searching, I realized they were gone. The front doors locked, the windows were shut, and I was completely alone. That's when I found the first note. It was on the kitchen table, written in my mom's familiar handwriting. It simply said, Rule 1, stay in your room. Do not come out until sunrise. Whatever you hear, ignore it. I didn't understand that. I was scared, confused, and alone. I didn't want to stay in my room. I wanted to find my parents. But something about the note made me follow the instructions. I took a flashlight and a pillow, locked myself in my room, and crawled under the covers. I thought it was maybe some kind of weird game. I wasn't sure. That night I didn't sleep much. The house creaked and groaned more than usual. I heard strange noises, soft scratching at my door, footsteps in the hallways, whispers that I couldn't quite make out. I told myself it was the wind or my imagination, but deep down I knew it wasn't. Something was in the house with me. The next morning when I opened my door, my parents were back. They were sitting at the kitchen table sipping coffee like nothing had happened. I asked them where they'd gone, what had happened, but they just smiled and said I must have had a bad dream. That was the beginning. Every Halloween after that was the same. My parents would disappear just before nightfall, leaving me alone with a note. Each year the instructions got a little more specific, a little more ominous. By the time I was 8, the notes included things like, Rule 2, don't look out the windows. And Rule 3, don't respond if someone calls your name. And the noises, they got worse. One year when I was 9, the sound inside my room became unbearable. There were knocks on the door, not gentle, but loud, insistent pounding. I pressed my hands over my ears, squeezing my eyes shut, but I couldn't block it out. The voice on the other side was familiar, my mother's voice, calling my name. Ellie, it's okay. You can come out now. She sounded so calm, so normal. For a second, I almost believed it was really her. But the rule had been clear. Do not open the door, no matter what you hear. So I didn't. I stayed under the covers, trembling until the knocking stopped. I never told my parents about the voice, and they never asked. The years passed, the game continued. It became a twisted Halloween tradition. While other kids dressed up and collected candy, I stayed locked in my room listening to the house come alive with things I couldn't see. I became used to the notes, the strange noises, and the feeling of being watched. It was all part of the game, my own haunted ritual. When I turned 13, everything changed. That year, the note was different. I found it on my bed, just as the sun was setting, but instead of the usual instructions, it said, Rule 4, there's something new in the house tonight. Be careful. I didn't know what that meant, but the moment I read it, I felt a chill run down my spine. Something new. What did that mean? I locked my door. As usual, I tried to settle in for the night, but I couldn't shake the feeling that something was terribly. The noises started earlier than usual. At first, it was the familiar creaks and footsteps. I'd gotten used to those, but then there was something else. I could hear it, low and heavy, just outside my door. It wasn't human. It was too slow, too deep. I pressed myself against the headboard, clutching my flashlight like a weapon, even though I knew it wouldn't help. The breathing moved away after a while, but then came the scratching. It wasn't at my door this time. It was coming from inside my room. I whipped the flashlight around, scanning the walls, the ceiling. There was nothing. The scratching grew louder, closer, until it felt like it was coming from beneath my bed. My heart pounded in my chest, my throat dry with fear. I didn't dare look under the bed. I was too scared of what I might find. The scratching stopped abruptly, replaced by a soft, childlike giggle. The sound of it froze the blood in my veins. It wasn't me. It wasn't my parents. Something was in the room with me. I backed up against the wall, holding the flashlight out in front of me like it could protect me from whatever was there. The giggling continued, soft and mocking. I whispered to myself, it's not real, it's just a game. But I didn't believe it anymore. Suddenly, there was a loud bang on the door. The whole room seemed to shake with the force of it. I dropped the flashlight, plunging myself into the darkness. The breathing was back, but this time, it was right outside my door.
Bang!
The door shuddered.
Bang!
The lock rattled. Whatever was out there trying to get in. I scrambled to pick up the flashlight, but my hands were shaking so badly I could barely hold it. The banging grew more violent, each hit sounding like the door was about to give in. And then, just as suddenly as it started, it stopped. Silence. Pure, deafening silence. I held my breath, waiting, listening for any sign of movement. Then the voice returned, soft and sweet, like honey. Ellie, it's okay. You can come out now. It was my mother's voice again, but this time I knew it wasn't her. I didn't answer. I didn't move. I just sat there, frozen in fear, praying for the night to end. The voice called out once again, more insistent this time. Ellie, don't be scared. It's just a game. My hands were trembling and I could barely hold on to the flashlight. The voice kept calling, but I stayed silent. I knew the rules. I knew I couldn't open the door. But then something strange happened. The door, it began to unlock. I heard the soft click of the lock turning and the handle slowly twisted. No, I whispered, pressing myself further against the wall, willing the door to stay shut, but it was too late. The door creaked open just a crack, but enough for me to see a shadow in the hallway, something tall and thin, its limbs too long, its fingers clawed. It wasn't my mother. The creature stood in the doorway unmoving, watching me. I could feel its eyes on me even though I couldn't see it. My heart was pounding in my chest and I felt like I could pass out. And then, just as it stepped forward, the first rays of sunlight crept through the window. The creature recoiled, hissing like an animal, and within seconds it was gone. The door slammed shut and the house was quiet again. I didn't leave my room until the sun was fully up. When I finally opened the door, the house was just as it had been the night before, silent, empty, as if nothing had happened. My parents were back, sitting at the kitchen table, drinking coffee like they always did. I stumbled in, shaken and pale, and told them everything. The creature, the scratching, the voice that wasn't my mother's. They just looked at me, exchanged glances, and then my dad laughed softly. "You must have had a bad dream," he said, shaking his head. "Nothing like that had happened, Ellie. It was just your imagination." My mom smiled that same strange smile and added, "You're safe now. It's over." I knew better. I knew it wasn't just a dream. The fears, the things I'd heard and seen, they were real. They had to be. My parents didn't believe me, they never did, and that was the most terrifying part. Now, as an adult with children of my own, I know the truth. Whatever haunted me in the house, whatever played that sick game, it's still out there waiting, and it's hungry. I fear for the lives of my children. I'll never let them go through what I went through. I'll protect them at all costs, even if it means never celebrating Halloween, never letting the night touch them the way it touched me, because I know deep down that it's only a matter of time before the games start again. I think something is wrong with my favorite YouTuber. When you grow up on the internet grows up in you too. You can't escape it. Codes get in your head. Binary whistles at the edge of your hearing. You see forum posting raindrops on dead leaves. People drive to work and then back again. Every day, the same thing, like they were long gifts spiraling in and out of the frame. The web is inside all of us, spreading out in our neurons, mirroring the fiber optic cables spawning across the ocean floor. They say there are server farms in Utah that when you see them from above, they look like human silhouettes. They say that wasn't the way they were built. I keep thinking about this because of Orwell. I'm watching one of his videos now. He used to be my favorite YouTuber. I had watched him for over a decade, back when he started as a dumb prank channel. I had that strange closeness with him, like we were friends, even though only I knew him. A parasocial relationship. Although, that word always makes me think of infections, of parasites, of something living inside a body that shouldn't be there. He uploaded the video I'm watching right now 2 days ago. There are almost 1 million views, 148 comments. He's updating his relationship status, which is, as it historically always has been for him, very complicated. I'm staring at his eyes as he talks. They're blue, ocean colored, like they've always been. Nothing's changed. Everything is the same in the ocean, but every wave is new. I look on his Discord. No one is talking about this upload, or at least they aren't talking about what I'm looking for. I respond to some DMs while I'm reading comments. I used to just lurk, never post. That was my whole thing. Sharing too much info online weirded me out. The more you put on the internet, the more it feels like you're making another version of yourself. There's IRL you and then online you. Both can feel separate, distorted mirrors of each other. It was a few months ago, back when I still wasn't commenting, when I noticed people on the server using a running phrase, the hidden videos. I didn't know what it was, and no one ever elaborated. I assumed it was just an inside joke, but there was something off about it, a lingering weirdness. Then I started to see it in other places, comments on YouTube videos, hashtags on the hell site. Eventually I started asking in the chat what it meant. No one ever responded, and Googling got me nowhere. Every site online that seemed to have any information was login restricted, which led me to revive my nearly dead social media accounts. That was when things changed. I guess I got so used to logging in and responding to messages, I started posting other stuff about me, too. Small things at first. Stuff like complaints about not finding things I was looking for, then links to articles I found interesting or depressing, talking about my day, pics of my dog. At some point I remember uploading a selfie, watching a little accumulation of hearts grow into the picture. The petite endorphins shot up. The companies wanted more. Talk about that. Keep us posting. Keep us on their platforms. Keep us online. At this point, I had started to assume I would never find out what was the hidden videos. Everything was a dead end. I had decided to write it off as another internet mystery, like who buys the most glitter. Besides, I'd convinced myself this whole thing was a dumb joke, an elaborate troll no one talked about. Felt like I had spent 2 months asking what updog is while everyone tried not to laugh, which is when I got the DM. It was just a link, nothing else. The kind of thing you'd guess was spam and delete. But it wasn't spam. The hyperlink test read, "Here are the hidden videos." One of the person's profile who sent it, but there was nothing there. Completely blank. No comment history. No links in their bio. Their username was just a jumble of letters and numbers. When I searched the combination, I got no hits in response. I messaged them, but they didn't respond. How long did I spend looking at that link? It felt like hours. The text glowing blue, the way the fires do in ghost stories when the devil is near. Then finally I clicked it. There was barely text on the site. I was so used to the overabundance of information on most sites, the staggering amount of empty space seemed almost sinister. No menu, no links to anything, no about button to click, just 6 embedded videos with dates under them, and the hidden videos written at the top of the page. The videos were Orwell posts, all from 3 years ago, 2 from separate days, the final 4 all from the same day. I bit my lip and leaned forward to study the images of the thumbnail, all stills of his face, but I didn't think I'd ever seen any of them. My heart racing, I clicked play on the first video. It seemed totally normal, just him talking about his day. Uninteresting, kind of boring. He said, "Oh, one weird thing did happen." He went out late to the burrito place across the street from his apartment, the one he always went to. The main burrito guy, Adam, laughed when he saw him. "Back already, man?" Adam, the burrito guy, was a recurring character in Orwell's video. He had a thick Massachusetts accent and frequently told Orwell stories about accidents in his workplace. Orwell asked Adam, the burrito guy, what he was talking about. Adam said, "Dude, you were here an hour ago." Orwell explained he just got there, and Adam said, "Holy shit, you have a twin. Do you want to watch the CCTV?" I told him that. "Hell yeah, I want to watch the CCTV," Orwell said. He cracked his knuckles. I thought that would be fucking ballers, so we go in the back and he fires it up. I felt pretty cool, like I was on some surveillance shit. We fast forwarded through some customers and bang, there was a dude. Guy looked exactly like me, like clone level. Adam was helping somebody else, so we watched Jai make his burrito. Oh, and Jai, if you're watching this, Adam said you gave him too much guac. Just thought you should hear from me, bro. Anyways, he gets his burrito and pays, and then looks up at the camera like he was watching the camera, watching us instead of us watching him. Total weird shit, but dude, if you see this or somebody knows you, I want to meet up, alright? I would love to chill with you. Clone Club style, of course. I'm out. Smash like and subscribe, prescribe, face reveal. Yeah. Oh, yeah. He turned the camera off. That was the end. Frowning, I clicked on the next video. It was a few weeks later. He looked a little ragged, his hair messier than usual. After a long pause, he began to start talking, apologizing, saying he had tried to film the video twice, but it hadn't worked. A few days ago, I posted a video about some guy who looks like me, he said. But that video is gone, which, dude, I don't understand. I didn't delete it. He looks away from the camera, and when he looks back, he says, "I think someone is messing with me." Sadie and I were sort of back together. Went to the grocery store tonight, and I saw him, the guy who looks like me. We were in the cereal aisle. Sadie's getting cereal, by the way, not me. I'm still doing all the Toast Breakfast Challenge. Rise up, Toast family. He raised his arms up and made what seemed to be a bread symbol with outstretched hands. Then he lowered his arms, and the enthusiasm vanished from his face, replaced by indecision and concern. But yeah, this dude, he was at the end of the aisle. No cart, nothing. Just standing there staring at me, and this is the weird thing. So he was looking at ingredients on some package, and I said, "Hey, look at this." As she turned, he was gone. She thinks I'm crazy, I think, he said and laughed. But he didn't look like he thought it was funny. I'm going to find that old video and re-upload it. Anybody knows that guy, tell him I still want to hang out, but I'm willing to need him to be at least 15% less creepy, maybe 20%. He turned off the camera. The next 2 videos were short, each under a minute. He was filming outside, taking footage of a crowd. You could hear him whispering, but it was unintelligible. I watched him again, but I couldn't make anything out. Then I saw him at the far edge of a frame, someone who looked exactly like Orwell staring at the camera. The final video, I hesitated and then clicked. He seemed frantic, panicky. He was in his house, the living room where I always filmed, talking about how some of his videos were posting. Everyone thinks he's going crazy, but he's not. There was someone with his face following, he said. He's seen him. He's filmed him. He didn't understand what was happening, but he needed help. Then he froze, his eyes wide. He was whispering, "No, no, no." And then he got up, his knees hitting his camera, sending it flying. The picture went sideways, upside down, tilted, and then stabilized, pointing to the couch where he'd been filming. I could see an area of the room, meaning the kitchen. I could only see the bottom edge of the room, his legs, his shoes. And then someone else walked into the frame. They stopped a few feet away from Orwell. The sound must have gotten screwed up when the camera fell because everything was a hard buzzing. It sounded like a swarm of wasps. Their shoes and legs, they were the same as Orwell. The video went black. As soon as it stopped, I watched it again and again and again and again. I can't tell you exactly how many times I play over and over and over again for days straight until suddenly the website didn't work. I kept hitting refresh, but my screen simply said Safari couldn't open the page because the server can't be found, like it was never there. But it had been there. I went back to the message that had the link, but there was nothing in my chat history. The profile of the person who had sent me the message had been deleted. Everything empty, and all I had left was the image of Orwell and whatever it was that looked like him in that room. I've been watching his videos since then, the ones dated after the last one. He looks normal, real, no sign of anything that isn't him. Started to think, oh, this is a long con, some kind of ARG. There's no way any of it actually happened. But I keep seeing something in his eyes that wasn't there before, a strange gleam, the way they reflect. I'm watching other videos too, ones where people mention secret videos in the comment sections. Those comments are all done too, but I think I see the glow in these people's eyes too. An unreal shine. Yesterday I stopped at the gas station on the way home, watched the stupid video on the screen at the pumps, updated my status on a social media account. As I was leaving, a car pulled in next to me, pulling out the traffic. I glanced back in my rear view. There I was, stepping out of the other car, staring right back at me. Posted by user AlbaMichelle23. Someone impersonated my sister and invited me to the shadiest part of Los Angeles. Last year, I started law school in Los Angeles. I have never lived in a city that big before, and I was really excited to be in a massive city with over 4 million people. Ever since I was little, I always knew I had a half-sister in LA, but my parents had this weird anger towards her that always made it feel like a taboo topic. Of course, I had looked her up on social media, and I knew what she looked like, but that was about it. We never actually met. She was never that active on social media, so there wasn't a lot I could see. Out of nowhere, one day, in my first year of law school, I got a friend request on Facebook from my sister. Her profile seemed legitimate. She had Facebook friends, and her profile picture looked exactly like her. She sent me a message inviting me to a little dinner party at the park with her friends. We could finally meet each other for the first time. I was new to LA, still am, and I had no idea which parts of the city to avoid at night. I was so excited about that idea, but I had a lot of anxiety about it too. It would be nice if we met, totally clicked, and became besties for life, but what if we ended up sobbing like we were in some dramatic movie scene? What if I tried to talk with her and she just didn't click with me, and she started showing me an act? Or worse, what if it's all going well until we have some kind of disagreement? Someone says something hurtful, and then we're both crying in front of everyone. Honestly, if she had suggested a cozy little bakery for desserts instead, I would have gone, but going to a park with other people didn't feel right. I thought it was like such a precious moment that I didn't want to have in front of all these people. I couldn't bring myself to go. I didn't want to risk having a meltdown in front of other people. I was worried about how messy it could get. A few weeks later, I googled that park to see what it was like. Maybe we could meet up there together, just one-on-one. That's when I learned something was wrong. I won't say the name of the park, but anyone who has lived in LA for long will tell you that it's not a safe place for girls to be having a dinner party at night. The area surrounding that park has very high violent crime rates. It's controlled by gangs. Even people who do illegal business in that park are forced to pay a tax to the gang in exchange for being left alone. So now I was really concerned and curious. I actually tried to get a hold of my sister myself. She was an undergrad at the time, a local college. I had a friend who went to her school. I asked my friend to reach out to her on campus and asked her if she'd be okay with meeting us. They connected and the three of us met at my friend's house. It was great. We got along so well. My friend was also very happy to do that for us. The three of us had so much fun. We weren't bursting in tears, but we let out a few. We had dinner. We watched a movie, and we spent the night at my friend's house. When I told my sister about that whole thing, she said she hadn't used Facebook since high school, so clearly someone was impersonating her. I would have told her to report the fake account, but it had already been deleted. She knows she had been impersonated on social media, though. Another one of her friends had been scammed by someone pretending to be her. It was some scheme involving fake concert tickets or something like that. Someone had been impersonating my sister. They knew I was in town, and they literally tried to lure me into one of the most dangerous parts of LA at night. I have no idea what their motives were. I don't even know if I want to find out. Meeting my sister after all these years was a beautiful thing, but the whole backdrop was terrifying. Let's not meet. Posted by user Asphodel2020. Sorry if I mispronounced it. Almost abducted by 2 men. I posted here before about one of my creepy encounters with men and got some good feedback. So I thought I'd share another experience after it came up in conversation today. This experience occurred several months after the other, and it was the remaining paranoia from it that helped me realize what was happening and very well may have saved my life. I was 18 at the time, although commonly mistaken for being in my early teens, and I had just finished some errands in town and decided to take a shortcut to catch the bus home. Said shortcut being a narrow street one of the shopping center's entrances open onto. It was honestly more of a glorified alleyway, but since the street connected onto the high street, and it was the quickest way into the shopping center, it usually got a decent amount of foot traffic and it was extremely safe to use. However, depending on the time of day, there may be very only few, if any, people there, and that was the case on this day. Just as I was walking out of the entrance and celebrating the fact that it wasn't blocked by people standing around talking as usual, A young man around my age startled me by stepping out of a small alcove beside the door and blocking my path with an, "Oh, hi there. How are you? Have you been shopping?" The way it approached me immediately put me off, but the overly familiar, "fancy seeing you here" sort of tone he was using made me hesitate for a moment, wondering if he was just someone from high school who recognized me and wanted to say hello. So I muttered, "Yeah, hi," to stall for a moment, while I racked my brain for who he could be. It didn't take me long to confirm. I didn't know a good-looking, fit, blonde 20-something with bright blue eyes and a heavy accent, and since I couldn't think of a good reason someone like that would approach me, my socially awkward, non-confrontational past self decided the best way to deal with the situation was just to dodge around him and leave. He didn't let me, though. Instead of taking the hint, he immediately started walking in stride with me on the side of the street closest to the road, so that I was between him and the side of the building. And then when I tried to speed up because I didn't like the feeling of being penned in, he sped up along with me, keeping me between him and the wall. As off-putting as that already was, he began asking me questions that seemed innocent enough, but all centered around where I was headed and if anyone was waiting for me to be there. "Where are you going now? Have you not finished your shopping? Are you meeting your friends? Maybe I could come with you. Or are you meeting your family instead? Wait, do you have a boyfriend? Is he your meeting? Are you going home? Do you live near here? Are you getting a bus?" I had already asked him to leave me alone once, and he acted like I hadn't even said anything. So I was ignoring his questions and glancing around, desperately hoping someone else would enter the street with us in case he didn't react well to being asked a second time. And that is why I noticed the second man. He was older, in his late 30s, early 40s, with dark hair, a short but scruffy beard, and had the kind of face and expression that tells you that you might need to be cautious when dealing with this person. I have no idea where he had come from. My guess is he was hiding in the alcove on the other side of the door from the blonde or further down that side of the street out of sight. But he was now walking in line with us on the opposite side of the road, staring the entire time. I tried not to let either of the men realize I had seen him while my brain went into overdose trying to figure out what their endgame was. Were they going to assault me? Surely they would have caught doing that in broad daylight right outside a shopping center. Maybe they were just going to rob me, but if they wanted to do that, the blonde could have just grabbed my bag and ran when he had the element of surprise back when he was hiding behind the door. Then I remember something that made my blood run cold. At the end of the street was an underground parking garage, the entrance of which opened up onto the pavement me and the blonde were walking on, and I would have to walk right past it because of the way he was petting me towards the wall. It would take him barely any effort to shove me through it, and the dark-haired man across the street had been toying with something in his pocket that I worried at first was a weapon. But what if it was car keys? What if they were planning to drag me in there into a car, take me who knows where, and do who knows what to me? We were very close to the end of the street now, and so I abruptly dropped back behind the blonde and darted towards the road, wanting to get away from the garage and making a beeline for the end of the street without getting within arm's reach of the dark-haired man. The blonde immediately darted after me and blocked my path, herding me back towards the pavement and penning me in so close to the wall this time that my arm was almost scraping against it as I walked, all while still talking to me casually as if he was doing nothing wrong. They obviously knew the game was up at this point though. When I glanced over at the dark-haired man to check where he was, he locked eyes with me, laughed, and called out to the blonde in a different language. The best I was able to determine later was Eastern European, but not Lithuanian, Polish, Romanian, or Russian, saying something that made him laugh too and doubled down on his, "Is anyone going to miss you?" questions while asking me if I had ever had a boyfriend, if I had ever kissed a boy, would I like him to be my boyfriend, etc. Obviously, I continued to ignore them and was panicking more and more as we approached the garage, but fortunately for me, the dark-haired man started to lose his patience with the blonde's lack of progress with me and began snapping at him, presumably demanding he get me to answer because the blonde looked worried and his tone was getting more urgent every time the man spoke to him. Only a few feet from the garage, the dark-haired man apparently crossed a line because the blonde suddenly looked furious, stopped walking, span around and started shouting back at him. I immediately took the opportunity to move for the end of the street, and although I heard the blonde shout, "Hey, where are you going?" and what I assumed was both of them running behind me, I managed to round the corner and lost them by ducking down the next street, and then several more just to be safe. I didn't feel safe enough to go to my original bus stop in case they stayed in the area and saw me, so I headed for one several blocks away instead, on edge and jumping at the slightest thing until I was on the bus and headed home. Although I tried to report the incident to the police, they weren't particularly interested in neither of the men had actually put their hands on me. I had no proof of what I assumed they were planning to do to me. I never heard about any abductions and assaults and robberies in that area, so I'm hoping they simply gave up after the plan didn't work with me. I'm glad I was paranoid enough to save myself from this situation, but do worry sometimes that another girl isn't as lucky. Less never meet. Hey guys, I'm back. I know I took a big break, bigger than I thought I would, but we're back. And this is a new series I want to do, a Reddit series, a series built for you to fall asleep to, because I know a lot of people, from what I've read, really enjoy my voice. And so I'm going to keep trying to do this the best I can. You can send me at my business email on my YouTube channel stories that you want me to read as well. A lot of these stories, you could tell, were partially fictional. Some of them were true, some of them were ambiguous. Same idea. If you want to send me fictional, non-fictional, I prefer real stories that to share to people for life lessons. But if you want to send me a fictional story, I may read it. But yeah, just shoot me an email, my business email, like I said. Anyways, thank you so much for almost 7,000 subscribers. Like I said, I'm working on a video about the video game Mouthwashing. It's a very big video, and I genuinely think we're going to hit 10K subs after that video. So I'm putting my bets down. I also want to say thank you so much to our members. Yes, we have a members on the channel. So shout out to Fan of Mansion. I hope I pronounced that right. Thank you so much, buddy. You're the only Zeth head on the channel right now, and you're amazing. If you join the channel, you get a lot of exclusive perks. I shout you out. You get a look at my live streams when I start doing that. Member-only chat rooms, one-to-one. I reply to your comments quicker, and I'll release special videos, early access to videos, stuff like that. It's not too crazy right now, and I'm still developing it, but I wanted to have the option of some sort of Patreon system, so that's why the membership exists. But as of right now, thank you so much, Fan of Mansion. You're the best. You're the greatest of all time. I hope you're enjoying your stay. Promise to bring you more content soon, buddy. Shout out to Fan of Mansion. Thank you so much again for watching this video, guys. If you want to see more Reddit videos, let me know in the comments below. Did you fall asleep to this video? Was my voice soothing to you? Do you look forward to the mouthwashing video? And do you think we can hit 100,000 subscribers by February 17th? I have a lot of videos ready for you guys, so I think we can do this. I really do. A lot of videos. So I'm working hard on this channel. I don't want it to die. I want it to survive and thrive. I want to quickly shout out my buddy Tomar. He's one of the best in the game, so please check him out. I just wanted to give him a random shout out because I think he deserves a lot of love. But I also want to shout out my music collective, Bastard Society in Castle Rock. My buddy Lubby just released his brand new album, Sellers 2. He's taking a massive break from music right now, but he would really love if you could just stream some of his music, give him a shout out, just check him out, look at him. I made his music video. I uploaded it to my channel here. Check it out. He made a music video. He's versatile. He's diverse. He's got what's up. I got a lot of stuff coming to this channel. Short films, video essays, documentaries, big projects that, at the outro, I get to talk to you on a personal level. Yapathon over. Thank you so much for watching. See you in the next one.